The wellspring that was once Zenless News has been pretty barren for a while. It's understandable as the tuning test has long passed and they've run out of characters to showcase. But with how good the game was even in its early state and just how much of a knockout Star Rail has turned out to be, you can't help but want to know what's brewing deep within the vaults, offices of Hoyoverse. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Club. I'm Graham.
And I'm George. As you've probably noticed, the Zenless team has been releasing these news volumes for a while now. There's two kinds. There's the news volumes, which usually dispel some cool in-world lore, but other than that, they're pretty straightforward. The other volumes are the redo news, and these may have more to them than we think. The latest volume has some really fishy wording, but it seems like it could go so much deeper than that. Based on the information these volumes provide, we think Hoyoverse is cooking up something good.
Let's start with the color of the volumes. And admittedly, in isolation, each point we'll showcase might be kind of weak, but together they'll produce so much smoke, it's hard to believe there isn't any fire at all. What is this fire exactly? Well, we have our hopes and theories, but we'll touch on those later. Alright, when looking at the colors of the volumes, you'll start to see a pattern. Anyone who's seen a basic color wheel before will know that if the pattern continues, the next color for the volume will be green. Yeah, not a huge thing by itself, but bear with us.
The next thing we want to look at are the release schedules of the volumes. The first one released on April 12th. Volume 2 released on May 18th. That's a difference of 36 days between releases. The third one, the one that just released, came out on June 1st, creating a difference of 14 days between volumes 2 and 3. The release dates may be random, but paired with their colors, it kind of gives a sense that something is ramping up.
For those of you skeptical, this next point is kind of a big one. Looking on HoYoLab, all the extra announcements, prize events, and even other types of news volumes, they're all done by Type 2. Well, what's the account that's releasing these redo news volumes? It's not Type 2, but the Proxy Network account. This is the account Hoyoverse has been using to release all important game-related announcements on HoYoLab. This account is reserved for only game-specific announcements. If this doesn't set redo news apart, then I don't know what will.
So, what about what's actually contained within the volumes? They're all linked down below if you want to read them in their entirety, but one thing stood out to us in Volume 1. There's a breaking news segment in which a man spent several hours trying to fix a bug, and after failing to do so, contemplated jumping off the building. Yeah, kinda dark. And on his birthday, no less. Thankfully, public security officers arrived on scene and quickly fixed the code. It very well could be just additional world building, but public security officers aren't widely known for fixing code. It's not something in the wheelhouse of many a cop. So is this some sort of meta commentary of internal game development? Well, let's look at what Volume 2 has to say.
Volume 2 kicks off by talking about how Belobog Industries invested a lot of money in R&D to overcome some of the challenges within the Hollows, and how they continue to improve the control systems for in-hollow heavy machinery. Again, this could just be flavor text and world building, but if anyone remembers from the tuning test, the navigation of the Hollows with the roguelike mode was a bit of a pain point for many people. They also mention how these efforts have resulted in significant improvements to performance and service. Once again, if anyone remembers, the loading time of the combat sequences in Hollows was absolutely dreadful in the tuning test. More flavor text? Or a reflection of something more meta? The article goes on to say that Belobog is a rising star with unlimited potential and one many competitors should be wary of. Do we take this at face value and assume there's no play on words and no double entendre? Or is this Hoyoverse being somewhat self-referential? Another thing within Volume 2 that caught our eye were the big words, spring release. In the article, it's referencing Bubble Pop, but technically we're still in spring until June 21st. And funnily enough, Summer Game Fest, in which Hoyoverse has confirmed to have some sort of presence, is technically not happening in the summer, but the spring.
Does this mean we should expect something for Zenless during the Summer Game Fest? Say an announcement maybe? Yeah, the connection is dubious at best, but Volume 3 is when things start to get really juicy. And remember, the Redo News isn't simply a fun little newsletter Hoyoverse puts out. As we said, it's released through the Proxy Network. That alone singles it out from among everything else the Zenless teams release on their socials and in HoYoLab. With Volume 3, our case that the Redo News is some sort of meta commentary on the development of the game becomes even stronger. It starts with an official report of a new companion holo of the Lemnian holo suddenly appearing. Holos are a big deal, and the bulk of the gameplay was contained in the holos. The new holo appeared at 6:30 a.m. 6:30, remember that.
So this is where things really start heating up. The mention of the reopening of the Godfinger Arcade. If anyone remembers, this was closed in the beta itself. An announcement of its reopening is quite a substantial statement in and of itself, but they specifically say it's reopening after a 10-month renovation. The beta started in August, and this is why 6:30 is such an important number. The time between August and June is 10 months. Is this some sort of hint that the beta starts on the 30th of June? Well, if this wasn't enough, there's another section on that page akin to the classified ads of old, which is doing a limited time recruitment to test some new Bang Boot tech. Call us crazy, but there's just so much here for it all to be just happenstance. Just one coincidence after another.
So, let's connect the dots. Redo News is either just a fun little newspaper that just so happens to be released by the Proxy Network and not Type 2 because of reasons, and all the stuff they're putting in the articles is simply flavor text to build up the world, and we're not really supposed to look beyond that. Or Redo News, while also containing some flavor text, is something more, and Hoyoverse uses it to drop some meta hints about what's going on behind the scenes. Both the speed of releases and the color of the volumes give off the impression that something special is coming. The on-the-nose writing some of these articles employ makes you think they're not only flavor text, and the conspicuous announcements of Volume 3 just really make you cock your head.
It could be nothing, but if we had to guess, this is pointing to the fact that we can expect some sort of announcement at the Summer Game Fest, with that most likely being the next beta coming at the end of the month. You can say we're dreaming, huffing the hopium, but at this point, only time will tell, and the cards seem to be stacking in our favor. We'll be watching the reveal live on our channel and Twitch simultaneously, so if you're also excited, come and join us and the TGC community.
Whether you think we're off the mark or found the breadcrumb trail Hoyoverse intended, we want to hear your thoughts. Let us know down in the comments what you think all these articles mean, and especially if we missed any important details contained therein. We'd definitely love to know about them. But with that, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya!